I'm a journalist.
Shadow show. Shadow show. Shadow show.
Shadow Show.
Shadow.
Why aren't we starting?
Shadowing it. I don't know. I don't know. Who knows? Who knows why?
Here's
this
the
has
thing.
to- yeah. Oh, Pablo, you're here. I didn't recognize you. Thought your flute in a Harvard background somewhere.
And action.
Hey, everybody. If you're wondering where Pablo Torre is, you're probably right.
Did you say 3:30 Eastern?
We did say 3:30. It is 3:36. I'm sorry for keeping you waiting, David Sampson.
You asked us to do it. It's been a very busy day. Amin and I have been trying to bask in the wake of Pablo Torre and the show that the three of us did together, that we just somehow are what are we doing, Amin? We just sat there. People, what's the number one question you've been asked today, Amin? Because I'll tell you my number one first is, you knew before the taping. And I said, I swear to God, Amin and I had not seen one page of those documents before the taping, not one. And I can't get anyone to believe me.
So two things. One, Dan said something to the effect of, oh, they made us wait 15 minutes. Yeah, so did me and David. We sat there. We didn't know where any of this was going. So that was just us kind of like, well, I knew it was somewhere basketball related. I didn't know where it was going. Second of all, David could back me up on this one. We were scolded anytime we even touched the papers on the desk. Like, don't touch that. Don't touch that. And it wasn't until Pablo gave us explicit permission. And even then, the papers that David had were different from the papers that I had. And we only could go one page at a time. We couldn't flip them all over. So the whole
so much of it, Amin, like Pablo every time is like, okay, no. And Amin and I were just sitting there like, what are we doing here? Amin came in and I came in from out of town and minutes are passing and there's a stack of documents this big. And so I'm actually getting excited. And what you don't see on the episode, which just dropped this morning, was him saying, okay, you may now turn over page 1, but only page 1, and only look at the highlighted part. That part I cheated on. Amin, as soon as I turned it over, I was scanning that entire page.
And using the tiny little glasses to make it happen.
Well, I need reading glasses.
Did you properly offset your carbon emissions by traveling in from out of town by working with aspiration?
I can't believe the number of trees that I kill on a daily basis. And it just makes me laugh that anyone thinks Amin, I'm sorry, but I got a tweet, a DM, my funniest DM from someone was saying, I would like to meet with you about how important sustainability companies are. Your show made it sound as like they're all frauds.
I mean, this one was absolutely a fraud. Again, not knowing where the story was going. That first commercial that we see with Robert Downey Jr., which, by the way, David did not recognize.
How did you not know that was his voice?
It was amazing.
Okay. All right, good. I didn't know if that part got cut out or not.
No, that's in there. That part.
But yeah, I'm looking at it. We get out of the commercial, and I'm like, yeah, that sounds absolutely fraudulent. It sounds like a Ponzi scheme. There's no way. There was no part of this where I was like, well, that sounds like a viable business. And that was before I knew anything. But yes, when you do a story about a company that's behaving like that, it doesn't mean that every company in that industry behaves that way. In the same way that we did a story about Enron, doesn't mean every energy company out there is a big fraud.
And just so everyone knows, oh, go ahead, David.
Jeremy, I'm sorry, but when we were taping it, I'm just trying to take people inside what was happening. As we're going page by page, it still was not all that clear what Pablo was finding out, what he was doing. And the way the studio is I was sitting about 8 inches from Amin is how the marks are. And I was sort of peeking over to Amin when Pablo was talking like, what documents are there? And are you thinking like, where are we going with this? But what they did is they did it in one take. So everything was just happening going forward. And then they edited later. And so there was nothing we could do to try to take control, which both Amin and I wanted to do.
I'll be honest with you. I try to do the thing where you try to read through a paper that's already turned over. Just kind of like, let me see how I squint, and I start flipping the letters backwards and forwards in my brain. It really reminded me of being in school again. Remember, they put the tests out, but we can't start yet until the proctor says, all right, now turn over your pages now.
It's like taking the SAT. And just so everyone knows that is tuning into this already, Pablo Torre will be with us as well to discuss all of this.
Why am I here?
Is he okay?
You're here to add intelligence.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's why we have you here.
I mean, this story had a good run. Red Zone has commercials.
That's your focus today?
I mean, that's big news right here. I mean,
I want to know how they're going to choose when the commercials are going to be inserted.
I need details. Thank you. That's the story I need to find out.
I assume for crappy games, because isn't there somebody always in the red zone on a Sunday? Is there ever red zone that's not red zone where they're just showing 1st and 10 from the 40?
Yeah, every once in a while you'll get a team at the 50.
Yeah, it's mostly if there's a dynamic quarterback. Yeah, it's mostly when you have Patrick Mahomes or Lamar Jackson at quarterback at the time. But for you guys, like let's get into this a little bit because there's been a ton of reaction online. We've seen all sorts of different news organizations picking this up and running with it. David, we were talking a little bit before we actually went live about some of the different phone calls you've gotten today. As you guys have seen the reaction come in, what is sort of your reaction to the reaction as Pablo has spent his entire day seemingly in different parts of the media sphere explaining exactly what went on in this story?
I mean, I'll tell you that when we finished recording, I remember looking at you and thinking to myself, this is a big story. And if it were in baseball and there were a salary cap and I was a president of a team and some other team, it's like the smoking gun that exists that Pablo was able to find. I had a feeling, but you never know what's going to hit on a particular day. The NFL season kicks off tomorrow on Thursday with the Cowboys and Eagles. College football is going on, and they always seem to get the news, and the NBA's off season. So I really didn't know the virality of what it has become, but I certainly knew that it was a big story.
This guy's showing up in a jacket.
Hello.
Suspenders? Do you have suspenders on?
I wish I could snap some fucking suspenders right now. I'm beefing with Mark Cuban on Twitter right now.
Yeah. We got an update in the chat that you responded. Should have said, hey, we're doing a live stream right now, Mark. Bring your coward ass on.
Send him the link.
I don't want to necessarily litigate it in this setting because I would like Mark to actually come on Pablo Torre Finds Out, which I've invited him to do. And I don't want to make it seem like I'm laying a trap in any way for him. Although I did say in the tweet, I have questions for him because it does not seem like he necessarily listened to the episode or watched the episode because he just to briefly recap what happened. This is funny timing.
We've got the
look at that. Look at that. Can someone else do the dramatic reading, please?
Sure.
Not it.
This is my usual wheelhouse, right? Reading, but we're gonna have to zoom in a whole lot more, Coca, because that is some fine print right there. Feel like I'm reading Kawhi's contract right now. All right, so Mark Cuban. No, is that the biggest zoom we can get? Can we zoom so we don't have to see your tabs open and all that?
I got it right on my phone. If you want me,
glasses and can read as well if you need.
I need binoculars or
still
maybe
not it.
I'm on Team Ballmer, he said. As much as I wish they circumvented the salary cap, first, Steve isn't that dumb. If he did try to feed Leonard money, knowing what was at stake for him personally and his team, do you think he would let the company go bankrupt? That's insane, that statement. But knowing all creditors would be visible to the world, that's also incorrect. They got scammed by aspiration along with many others, crimes for which they pleaded guilty last week. It's he, not they. But anyway, scammers do scammy things. They did a $300 million sponsorship deal with the Clippers in 2021. That's a huge all caps deal. The better the team does, the more value the sponsorship has. It actually makes perfect sense that if they stole money from investors and want the Clippers to succeed, why not give stolen money to help keep their best player? It's sad that Pablo Torre didn't take the time to find out how these scammers pulled off their scam. The idea that the default is Ballmer is the bad guy is going to backfire on him. Ooh, Pablo.
I I want to summon a reference to something that Dan has made fun of with this episode, which is that it took way too long to get to the thing. Part of why it took so long to get to the thing was because we told the story of what Mark Cuban is saying we didn't tell the story of. So I just keep on getting into these internet beefs that people didn't actually listen to the reporting. And I'm like, I don't know, man. I kind of anticipated all of this. Could you just listen to the thing? It's 80 minutes long. We investigate the scammers. We talk about the scam. We spend so much time talking about the trees. The whole thing. I mean, by the way, and spoiler alert, we have visited the tree today.
You guys did.
Are there any apples?
I'm gonna send you guys in a group. I'll send Chris, Cody, or Jeremy, whoever is running this. Maybe Coca, I'll send it to.
Yeah.
I'll send him the video of what the tree looks like now. Spoiler alert. Put a pin in that. We'll return to it. Okay. But the thing with what Mark Cuban is saying is like, this is not a story about Mark Cuban. I mean, excuse me. Well, it's not a story about Mark Cuban until now. It's not a story about Steve Ballmer being the guy who was scamming all of these people. I mean, there are questions that people who worked at Aspiration have about what Steve Ballmer must or could or maybe should have known, given his level of influence and the $50 million he personally invested. But as we've all seen before, Mark Cuban maybe has lived a version of this himself. Things happen under your watch that, just is oversight legally compulsory? A question for ethicists as well as lawyers to debate. What this episode is about, though, is about two scammers from Harvard who were Democratic politicians and donors who did this thing. God, really? This is really undermining my
it's a celebration.
Gravitas. The point being, it's about these two scammers and what Steve Ballmer used their scam of a company to do, which was pay Kawhi Leonard outside of the salary cap.
So this must have been purposeful, Pablo, because the Twitter snippet that's got 20 million, 15 million growing is like 4.5 minutes. And people tend to watch that and think, okay, I've seen the episode. And that's sort of what Cuban's tweet reminded me of, forgetting the fact that he's wrong about how the list of creditors is generated into Chapter 11. He got that wrong, but he didn't watch the episode for sure. And he is never going to agree to come on your show because it would just expose him for exactly his inability to understand the issue. But I was shocked at people's comments today. My biggest takeaway is that too many people watch the 4 minutes, and the beauty is in the 80 minutes.
This is our lament. I mean, David and Amin, I just want to praise them. So like what we do, guys, I mean, Chris and Jeremy, you've done an episode of the show. The mystery box format, though, that I subjected David and Amin to, I mean, just to be very clear about the high wire act that is obviously legal sensitivity everywhere, right? These are all allegations, of course. The Clippers and Steve Ballmer deny this. They say it's provably false. I await the proof. All that stuff should be mentioned and will be again. But for these two guys to walk into something and not know what's about to happen.
What are you doing, Pablo?
Why am I being profiled? Why are my gestures?
How do you do this? How do you?
You have to turn your gestures off, Pablo.
Oh, it's a setting. I kind of want to turn them on next.
I'm celebrating as well.
Yeah, hold on. Visual effects
happening.
Cody, keep
Enhanced
it down.
Skin appearance. Ooh, I'd like some of that.
Pablo, while you figure out those settings, I will read the statement that you guys got from the Clippers. So it was neither Mr. Ballmer nor the Clippers circumvented the salary cap or engaged in any misconduct related to Aspiration. Any contrary assertion is provably false. The team ended its relationship with Aspiration years ago during the 2022-23 season when Aspiration defaulted on its obligations. Neither the Clippers nor Mr. Ballmer was aware of any improper activity by Aspiration or its co-founder until after the government instituted its investigation. The team and Mr. Ballmer stand ready to assist law enforcement in any way they can.
So, yeah. I mean, look, so again, that's important because I want to do another mystery box thing here. Oh, NBA released a statement, Coca says. Do I really want to process this on StreamYard with all of
that's why we're here. Yeah, that's why we're here.
This is a great statement, Pablo, because we just want to see on Nothing Personal.
I'm finding out.
We led the show this morning. Coke and I did with this story that you found out about.
Oh
and
my God.
We said the NBA would have to investigate, and it didn't even take them a day, Pablo. You got the investigation. Their spokesman said, we're aware of this morning's media report regarding the LA Clippers and are commencing an investigation.
Wow. Good job.
Do you think Mark's going to come on the show now?
Not a chance.
Do you think he's going to come on the show now?
So there's a couple of things. There's a
investigation
couple things
starts?
about Mark. There's a couple of things about Mark Cuban.
These people,
Number one,
man. Please, I mean.
read the first line of that tweet. It was like,
And we are aware of this morning's media report regarding the LA Clippers and are commencing an investigation.
I meant Mark Cuban's tweet. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, like we knew why you
I'm
looked that
on
up.
Team Ballmer.
That's not like I've reviewed the material and that's like I'm cheering for the guy who looks and is kind of in my tax bracket and also maybe is engaging in some behavior.
He's also been accused of cap circumvention. I stand with the billionaire Democrat who definitely does not betray his principles through his behavior.
Right. So it just none of it seems like a very measured response. The league having that response is not surprising because we talked about it in the episode where the last time they did the investigation, they didn't say, wow, everything here is clean and this story is done and closed. They kind of left the door open, Pablo, right? I don't know if that made the final cut. I didn't get to see the bullet. But they let the door open like, for now, we can find nothing, but that's for now.
Are we all laughing that Amin just Cubaned us? He was just like, I presume in the episode there's something along.
That's been my favorite
Pablo,
bit thus far. Is that Amin 3 different times has said, "Well, I didn't actually get to see what the final episode looked like."
This is my silent protest. They're like, hey, do I get a screener?
This is like how Adam Driver doesn't watch his own movies. It's like
so Pablo, I explained to the audience.
I love watching my own movies.
I explained, Pablo, that you had us there, that we had no idea what we were doing there, but that the filming was over. It took a longer period of time than 80 minutes.
Of course.
And so you have to watch the episode to see, because you edited out all the times you yelled at us saying, don't turn over the papers, because that was funny because it happened in real time because we wanted so badly to know what the hell we were doing there.
Yeah, 80 minutes is the record, by the way. Like, that's the longest episode we've ever done. So 50 minutes is typically what we did. We could only cut it to so much bone.
It's 40 minutes if you go double the speed.
Okay.
Thank you, Chris.
Don't go double speed, please.
It's delightful.
The part that I want to get back to, though, around like the investigation and what's going to happen next and why anybody is so certain about this. I just want to sort of juxtapose two things. On the one hand, you have Mark Cuban saying, and thank you, Amin, for asking for the dramatic reading again, Team Bomber. And I'm like, okay. And then he proceeds to give you truly circumstantial speculation around what must have happened because Steve's a smart guy, which is a classic, logical process in 2025. Definitely not a thing. We've experienced smart people doing very dumb things. At the same time, I just want to reiterate this as what I've subjected David and Amin to in the mystery box was over 3,000 pages of documents and 7 sources that are explicitly saying, including one on tape, it was to circumvent the salary cap. So there's this game of like murder mystery, like, ooh, how do we solve this? And I'm like, guys, just know, to quote another Marvel character, the episode has a lot of Avengers stuff in it for Robert Downey Jr. reasons. I just feel like, weirdly, I feel like Thanos. And where did that bring you? Back to me. I'm telling you where the story is headed. And you're like, I don't know. I'm just like, okay, just know I'm a reporter reporting something. And you can not trust me and you can verify and you should research on your own. But just know that like it's not me connecting dots out of my ass. There are several. I mean, it's just there are lots of asses, I guess, in the story.
You know, the NBA is despondent right now. Just despondent.
Well, I mean, this is not the good news is it's ruining NFL kickoff. It's not ruining the start of the NBA season. We still have a month there. I'm really curious as to how the other active owners react to this. Not the guy who's out and doesn't have anything to do but talk about everybody else, but the guys who have skin in the game. Because there's 2 ways to look at it. One is we have to be united behind the shield or behind the logo and and be supportive. The other is like, wait a second, these guys are cheating this brazenly. There should be repercussions against the guy who is richer than half of us combined, which is a big thing that we talk about on the episode. David, you asked me earlier what my reaction was from kind of the reaction to the reaction. And I said, the funniest thing to me was Dan on the show or some of the guys on the show said, everybody does it. Oh, what's the big deal? Or there's no story here. Everybody does it. And yet everyone reaching out to me from the NBA, from NBA circles is like, this is a big deal. It's not, oh, wow, you finally caught one. It's, oh, wow.
Yes.
That it's happening at this magnitude was kind of shocking to them.
Yeah.
If you think about Mickey Arison going into the Hall of Fame Saturday, what Pablo has done has made it so the media is going to ask him about this. And instead of focusing on him in the Hall of Fame and what he's done with the Heat, they're also going to say, hey, is this why you never get the big one? Because you're not willing to give him shares of stock in Carnival?
Or is that why you got LeBron?
Or does LeBron secretly own like Carnival of the Seas from the Cayman Islands?
I will say that, like, can I just say, if Tim Frank is listening, I love Tim Frank. Tim Frank's a good guy, PR guy for the league. We've all talked to Tim over the years.
Loved him.
It's been decades at this point. I don't want, look, as somebody who works in this business, I'm not naive to the idea that I really did screw up a bunch of people's days.
Oh, yes, you did. I got that text.
Mine included.
I would merely postulate that if you want to blame someone, blame the people in the story, though. Like, just sorry, like that's kind of how this stuff works. Anyway.
We've spent 2 minutes since Pablo called himself Thanos without reacting to that appropriately.
That was a lot.
Chris, what is the reaction to that? I didn't know how to appropriately.
I'm not proud of that.
No, but what is Thanos known for? Because I'm forgetting which character that was. Please remind me.
So David didn't recognize Robert Downey Jr. in the commercial we played in the episode. David also watches a movie every day.
So I've seen all the Avengers. I know it's a character. Is that the one who looks he's got the hair slicked behind his head, longish hair? He's the brother of Thor.
That's
no.
Loki.
Okay.
No. Thanos is the one who snaps his fingers and everything is destroyed.
Well, 50% of it. Yeah.
Which actor played him?
Josh Brolin was the voice.
Josh Brolin, but he's kind of animated.
Amin must have the Thanos hand, right? That's where he's going.
Yeah, that has to be what's happening right now.
I'm going to be disappointed if Amin doesn't come back here with the Thanos hand.
Why are you referring to yourself as that then, Pablo? Just walk me through it.
I don't want to belabor this. It's horribly obnoxious.
No, I think we got to dive really deep into it.
No, I think we covered
So it's just, my point was simply, when I have reporting from 7 former employees who all say it was to circumvent the salary cap, that's what we were told, it's what we heard. It was very obvious for a zillion reasons, which I won't even recap in this StreamYard session because it's all there in the episode. And I'm not just yada-ing. It's just too much to recap. Thanos says something to the Avengers where he taunts them saying, and where did that bring you back to me? So everybody is sort of trying to figure out, can Steve Ballmer wriggle out of this one? And I'm just saying, like,
was the person you talked to, Pablo, the 7th person who went on record, or were they the 2nd and you went, for your next 5?
Oh, I mean, the number of texts that I sent to people who worked at Aspiration is comical.
Okay.
My success rate was not super high because I reached out to literally everybody I could find.
Oh, he's fine.
The information, the contact info from. Thank God.
I thought Amin got for a second. I thought the NBA.
They came in. This. Well, Steve Ballmer, Uncle Dennis are downstairs, and they're not happy.
Well, that's the other thing, by the way. So, like, again, one of the things that I find very funny is just like, imagine you're one of these 7 sources, the one I talked to, and you work in the finance department, and there are these calls coming in as your company is descending into bankruptcy, and you can't pay anybody. And this guy, Dennis Robertson, keeps calling, demanding payment. And the answer for everybody else has been like, we can't do that. We're collapsing into bankruptcy and disgrace. But the priority number 1 task that everybody is given who's told me this story is you got to pay them. I'm just like, why do you think that is? So you can believe the reporting or not. I'm just telling you, I believe the reporting. That's why we published it. So, I don't really know what else to say on that.
The funny thing is, it's not opinion based.
Correct.
There was a deal that was signed. It was with a company that is one of the biggest sponsors of the Clippers. They paid Kawhi Leonard and contractually obligated him to do nothing that violated his beliefs without defining the beliefs. Oh, and by the way, the only thing that could allow the company to invalidate the contract was him not being a Clipper.
Yeah, it was for
this isn't our
and not being a Clipper. Exactly.
Right.
Like murder
and so
someone.
Yeah.
Fairness.
It's not our opinions. I think this is what's up. These are the facts. And from there, whether Steve Ballmer, whether Lawrence Frank knew, whether like all that stuff that's where you get into speculation or whatever. But the stuff that we presented, that we were allowed to flip over one page at a time, only at Pablo's permission, that stuff is, you could do a FOIA request to get all those documents at this point, right? Because that's the stuff that was submitted as part of the bankruptcy.
Well, if they hadn't gone bankrupt, those documents would not, that list of creditors would not have existed. You would not have known KL2 Aspire LLC, unless Pablo, someone had come to you with that document.
With the documents.
But let's Jeremy, I want to get back to you in a second, but just like play it out for a second, right? Because what Mark Cuban, not to just keep on getting back to Mark Cuban, but Mark Cuban is saying he's too smart to do something so dumb. And if not for the bankruptcy filing, no one would have ever known. Mm-hmm. They had gotten away with it.
Well, Pablo, we talked about this on the episode. Even with the bankruptcy filing, they might have gotten away with it.
Yes.
Had Kawhi not come say, "Where's my money?" If he just let that last $7 million go,
if he had
done, these are the breaks.
And this was a thing that we pointed out in the taping that we didn't put in the episode. But it's just like, what's so great about this episode in all of its fact patterns is that it is everybody being their maximum
exactly
selves.
Who they are. Yep.
Kawhi didn't want to do a single thing. If he had done one post, you could have avoided the bulk of the headline here. He did nothing. Well, no, he did something, right? If Steve Ballmer wasn't so championship hungry and wanting to spend money because he's the 6th or 7th richest person in the world as of right now, well, you know what? It's just, you go down the line and everybody was being their maximum selves.
I'm sorry. Jeremy, I'm going to keep interrupting you, but
I think it's fine. Episode,
I thought you said Ballmer's number 6.
Yeah.
Is he now down the list since we taped?
I just checked.
You did imply that based off how you said that.
Yeah. I don't want to add insult to report.
He had a bad day. Like, what happened?
I'll find that out.
It hasn't been a great day.
As Jeremy at the Forbes list right now.
As Jeremy finally gets to what he wanted to say, I'll look up the billionaire ranking.
Just be sure to interrupt me whenever
Jeremy.
You do have the information.
Great.
Oh, no, great. Why don't you go ahead?
Did we impact his net worth? He's down.
Oh, here we go. So, okay.
He's down to 8 now. I don't know, but he
I have him at 7. I have him at 7 according to the Bloomberg Billionaires Index. He's at 174. Sergey Brin of Google is 176, and it's a tight race, guys.
Our net worth's like the stock market. Like, what are we doing?
It is when you put out a story about him.
I mean, almost literally.
I know. Yeah, I get it.
All right. So I am going to ask the question that I had before. David, one of the responses that I've seen in regard to all of this reporting has been about Kawhi having a sponsorship deal with a company that was also sponsoring a team. So as it was mentioned within the episode that you've worked on a lot of deals like this. Is it rare to see someone sign some sort of marketing or sponsorship deal with a company that's sponsoring the team that they are on as an individual? Like, what made this case different from some others?
$7 million a year.
Right. It's just
so
ultimately
it is
the bottom
very
line.
common for team sponsors to go to the players and cut separate deals for those players to do something for that sponsor. $7 million per year. I've never, that's the number. And I tried to, when I saw it, I was trying to figure out how should I publicly react to this? What do I say? How did the agent for Kawhi get a deal like this? It's so unheard of. That was what I was referring to. And then someone else DM'd me, in addition to security issues for you, Amin, me, and Pablo, saying, are you aware that you're pissing off some very powerful people? I'd watch your back. Yeah. I got that in my DMs, so that was good. Luckily, I'm here alone. But someone else said, yeah, there's deals all the time that if a player's not on that team, that would be the end of the deal. I'm like, what? No, that is not correct. But that's what people are going to try to say to let you know that it's totally normal. That if Kawhi were all of a sudden off the Clippers, that aspiration had only an interest in him on the Clippers. It almost is like they're the only team who wants to save the earth.
Yeah, David, I think it would be more understandable of a clause if A, first of all, it's not $7 million a year. B, it was like Kia Lakeland or Pembroke Pines Kia. Like, yeah, that would make sense. They want you to be a Heat player if you're playing for like the Grizzlies. You're not as valuable. But in this case, it's a large amount of money. It's not a local business. And if it were a local business, you would say you got to remain in LA. You wouldn't care if you were a Laker. You'd probably be more happy if you were a Laker. The idea that it's like, oh, if you're a Clipper, you're dead to us. I think that's the thing that made us all look at each other like, oh, wow, that's where they perhaps went a bridge too far.
It's one of like a dozen things that just doesn't pass the smell test. And I just like the idea, by the way, that David is somewhere off screen. David has a giant catcher's mask. He's going to be very protected for anybody.
Is it giant or is it regular size? And he's just,
oh, Amin, come on. We got to get past that, Amin. It's time. Okay. I'm not tall. Okay. It's enough.
I do apologize for the camera angle on David, by the way, in the episode.
I got quite a few comments on that, Pablo. Again, from people of all demographics, some of which impacted me more than others because I care more. But it was not the most flattering layout. And when we went in for taping, I was specifically put in that chair at that level, which made me wonder whether or not, Le Batard was a part of this.
Well, Pablo, I do want to ask you, because you alluded to some of what wasn't included in the episode. And I mean, this is an 80-minute long episode. It's in
40
an hour and 40 if you listen on 2 times speed, of course, which is
40 if you're nasty. Yeah, correct.
Yeah, 40 if you're nasty. But all that being said, like, what are some of the most interesting things that you can discuss that didn't make the episode, that are just left on the chopping block? Because I can only imagine the amount of information that you have that's not just laid out in this sort of perfect sequence.
So something we had to cut. I mean, there are just some funny things that are through lines, it turns out, when you sort of cobble together a story from disparate places of whatever, of origin. One of those through lines is Martin Luther King. And so I say that to say one thing we had to cut for time, Amin, this is going to be crushing for Amin to learn this on the StreamYard, is the Blake Griffin shirt part.
No!
What's the Blake Griffin shirt part?
So part of what we did was make the case for why Steve Ballmer is a micromanager when it comes to basketball. He is involved, allegedly, at every level of how the team operates, to the point that there was this story that was a legend, truly, in NBA Twitter circles. Amin, do you want to explain the story?
Yeah. So Blake Griffin is going to be a free agent. He's still healthy. He's still a very popular player. He's playing for the Clippers. He's due a massive deal if he stays. So as part of the campaign to keep him, they create this. Well, they created a banner, first of all, that they actually hung up in Staples Center, but they also created a T-shirt of the banner, and on this banner had all of these great historical figures, including Barack Obama and Rosa Parks and Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, and Michael Jackson's in the background somewhere, and Blake Griffin is on that shirt too. And I can't remember what the slogan was. Pablo, you have it.
Pioneers, yep. I believe. And it's ostensibly a joke, but also hard to tell. The point being, I had a friend of the show. I used a clip from Adam Friedland's show where he had Blake Griffin as a guest, and he asked him about the shirt. And Blake says, "Yeah, that was Ballmer."
It's not a joke, but it was not a joke. This was a serious. They were. This was them.
Like Gandhi was on it. You know,
they were pitching him like, "Yo, you can."
But that's the point. And so this is something else, by the way, that didn't make it into the episode. That's more
crazy.
It's the shirt. It's also the fact that in 2015, the Clippers under Steve Ballmer, this is forgotten, but they were dinged because they tried to give DeAndre Jordan an off the books endorsement deal and got punished $250,000 for it. So like that also has already happened.
Was that during the Twitter emoji gate with them? Was that whole DeAndre Jordan being held captive time period?
Oh, that's a good question. Was that the part with the chair? Remember when the chair? Speaking of Mark Cuban,
find out.
It was that
I'll do some research on that.
Well, I would remind you that that's one of the things that Cuban was mistakenly talking about in his tweet response to you, having watched 4 minutes, not 80, is that what Ballmer was doing, and the reason it's in the CBA, there's actually a provision for punishment in the CBA for salary cap circumvention. Why would it be codified in the CBA if it was something that never happens, that no one thinks about ever doing? And by the way, Glenn Taylor got punished significantly when he did what he did with Joe Smith. So for Cuban to say what he said was only one of the 4 things I've noticed in his tweet that was just wrong. But that one especially made me laugh.
Shirt.
Oh, there's the shirt, Coca.
Nelson Mandela, Abraham Lincoln, Muhammad Ali, Martin Luther King, JFK Sr.
Bottom right corner, there's Michael Jackson.
Yeah, Michael Jackson with the hat.
With the hat.
Gandhi.
With the hat.
And at the top, it's Blake Griffin. I got an update real quick for you, Pablo, from Mark Cuban. Someone at MJ Bass 77 said, "Did you watch the entire podcast and see the literal mountains of evidence?" Mark Cuban replied back, "I did." How much did they discuss that aspiration was run by scammers? How much did they question that maybe they could be behind this? I love when someone say, "I did watch it." Let me ask some questions about things that were clearly not only covered, but covered mostly in the first half of the episode. So if there was a part you would have missed, it would have been all the stuff we talked about the Clippers. The episode was incredibly front-loaded with aspiration talk and learning about these guys that were bigwigs within the
I defined what a tree brokerage is. Like, what else? I don't know how much more you wanted from me.
You called it a tree bank.
A green bank.
Yeah.
Maybe Cuban watched it at double speed, and you shouldn't do that.
He just missed that part.
Maybe that's bad advice.
It's a tough thing that this opens.
Talk really fast.
The NBA has to investigate, but it has to be so careful because there's a lot of owners watching this investigation. There's a lot of owners who are vested in the results of the investigation, both anti-Clipper and both pro, like, I don't want anyone looking too closely at any of the things. I mean, we did one. It's not a salary cap one, but when we paid Barry Bonds under the table to be our hitting coach, I didn't tell you about this on the show, but we did a total under the table side deal because we weren't allowed to pay him so much as a hitting coach. And so we paid him just from the team that we disclosed to the other owners a certain amount and then cut him a side check for the full amount that we paid him. And so to say that no team ever thinks about doing these things, I think is inaccurate. But the way that Ballmer allegedly invested, which is not allegedly, Pablo, you've got the $50 million right there, proof that he invested in Aspire. You have the $28 million aspiration. You got the $28 million right there with Kawhi Leonard's signature on the damn agreement. I don't know what the speculation really is.
Well, and then you add to the level of just like proportion, right? Which you alluded to before. It's just like $28 million is off the graph. It's just off the graph for a job like this. And so the question then becomes why? And does that factor into the analysis? And the analysis, to David's point, I want to be clear about this, right? The reason, in fairness, why everybody's doing how smoking is your gun, right, is because the assumption is the NBA doesn't want to investigate this. And so when you tell me that Shams has reported the NBA is investigating this, I say that is step one. But the rest of it is where it gets interesting. It's where it gets good. Because, David, I believe that based on what I understand about how this stuff tends to work, is that you recognize the power dynamic between Adam Silver and Steve Ballmer, the richest owner in the league. By the way, the guy that Adam Silver really built his reputation on, right? It was the sale of the Clippers from Donald Sterling, who would have hated the Pioneers shirt. I mean, just think about it.
Yeah.
All those guys.
Donald
on that
Sterling?
shirt.
Oh, he would have been.
He had a different
He
shirt.
likes Albert Einstein.
Allegedly.
Maybe.
A very different shirt.
True.
A very different shirt.
I don't know.
Yeah, he's a man. He is a man of a member of the tribe.
That's
so.
right. That's right. The original man, Albert Einstein. The point being that Adam Silver really took a victory lap in the public perception based on the good guys coming in, rescuing the NBA from the bad guys. So there's that. There's the financial dynamic. There's the question of all of the other owners in the NBA and what they're going to push for quietly, right? Because that's where it gets to be. I don't know if it's obvious what the 29 other owners are going to demand happens here next.
Well, I think that the first thing that will happen is when these investigations go on, there's negotiations that happen with the team that's being investigated. So Silver and Ballmer are going to talk. It's not like they're going to go to their own sides and be in a cone of silence. There will be certainly a conversation where there is, well, how is this ending? Because it just, when it comes to punishment, when it comes to, he can't kick Ballmer out of the league. He's not going to get Sterling. It's not even a possibility. And remember the way Ballmer got the team. There were 3 bids for the Clippers back in the day, like 1.2, 1.6, and Ballmer said financing 1.6. Forget it. Here you go, 2.0 billion. See you later, Sterling. Wrote the check out of his checking account, and the deal was done. It's the way you lose an apartment in New York City to an all-cash bidder. It just happens quick, and then it's done. And so for me, it's step one right now, and something that Mark Cuban won't be involved in. If he agrees to ever come on your show, I hope you have us with you, because I would love the opportunity to question some of Mark Cuban's comments to you.
Well, I have 2 important updates for you, David. First and foremost, really the most important one. Yes, it was the summer of 2015 when Blake Griffin and Chris Paul and Paul Pierce were all tweeting emojis about DeAndre Jordan. That's the most important one. The second one, Mark Cuban has quote tweeted Pablo Torre's invite to discuss on Pablo Torre Finds Out and has said, "Just sent you a DM. Happy to."
Oh,
nice.
Well, we got ourselves a sequel here, baby.
I think it's time to wrap this up for the time being.
I'll join that. I'll join that as well, Pablo.
Really quick, because you guys did say, David mentioned that's how he got the Clippers. Steve Ballmer just said, how much for us to not to do this song and dance of I'll raise you this and I'll raise you that. Did the story of how the Forum came to be sold make the final cut or no?
No, it didn't.
Okay, so one of the things, on the list of creditors, right, as David explained on the episode, the higher you are on the list, the higher the priority, right, in terms of the amount of money owed, right? And so one of the maybe 4th or 5th on the list, I can't remember, was Forum Sports and Entertainment. And as soon as I saw it, and that was one of those times where I peeked over a sheet that wasn't mine. It was David's sheet. And I said, oh, let me look. And I said, oh, man. And Pablo said, you got to wait. I said, man, I can't keep this in any longer. You guys know who owns Forum Sports and Entertainment? And David said, oh, it's the Bus family, right? I said, no. It was Jim Dolan and Madison Square Garden Entertainment. They owned it, and they used it as a concert venue. A lot of the musical acts love the acoustics of that building. So people, will play there down in Inglewood. But when Steve Ballmer announced they were going to build the Intuit Dome, and they were going to build it in Inglewood, right across the freeway from where the Forum is, understandably, Jim Dolan goes crazy. Like, wait a second. We had a deal, Inglewood, that you wouldn't allow any similar size building in here. We already got SoFi Stadium there, but they're a different class venue. Like, this is direct competition, and he sued, and there was this whole thing. And Steve Ballmer said, all right, how much for the Forum? and Jim Dolan, who is not an unwealthy man, said, wait, what? And he said, yeah, like, I don't want to deal with this whole, like, will they, won't they? Just here's a bunch of money for the building. Now go away. And that's what happened. He paid them all, basically. He paid millions and millions above fair market value for this old building, Not because they were going to tear it down or what, just to make the problem go away so I can have my toy over here.
Oh, God.
Was all that clacking you were doing, Pablo, you responding to Cuban's DM?
Don't respond without thinking about it this quickly. Just take a breath.
This is what I would love to do right now.
Not be here.
Thank you so much for this lovely StreamYard opportunity. I'm gonna arrange this interview with Mark Cuban now, and I think I gotta figure out if he's actually gonna
time the hell out of us.
Chris, are you available?
I don't.
I just want to close a quick loop from the beginning before Pablo joined. NFL Road Zone will feature full ad breaks, not just the split screen overlay. So we're talking a full shift here, and I don't
much bigger story. Much bigger.
Your story had a good run, Pablo, but NFL has ads now.
You know what? I expected this to happen, that the NFL would just come and Bigfoot the entire premise here.
I don't like it. Okay.
Yeah.
Right, we'll have fun DMing.
Pablo's official response to Mark Cuban was, did you even watch the episode we reported?
How about the four of us, huh?
Hey, look at us. Way to go, everyone but Pablo.